Once upon a time, when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, something beautiful started to bloom. And it has been blooming ever since. This is the story of orchids. In 1862, Charles Darwin published the book Fertilization of Orchids, a landmark book that builds upon his previous work to explore the coevolution and relationship of orchids and their pollinators, insects. It was a striking picture into the world of orchids, which at that time was still considered to be very mysterious. We've come a long way since then, and know much more about them now. For example, this far we know there are more than 25,000 accepted orchid species, with more being found regularly. We also know many of the ways they've devised for capturing their pollinators' attention. Take a look at this species. It belongs to the Paphiopedilum genus, one of 4 genera that make up an orchid subfamily called the slipper orchids. Named so because of their most defining characteristic, a slipper-like pouch. As for our genus's name, Paphiopedilum was coined by a German botanist. Paphiopedilum means Aphrodite's sandal, from the word Paphos, a place considered to be sacred to Aphrodite, and pedilon for sandal. A very interesting name, the Greek goddess of beauty's sandal. This little sandal of the Paphiopedilum makes for fascinating contrast to other orchids. In most orchids, one of the petals, the lip, normally represents a landing runway for the pollinator, differentiable by shape and usually color. It's most commonly shaped like a tongue. However, here, the lip is not so much a runway, but more of a cavernous pit trap. This lip plays a very important role in the pollination process of these orchids. Aside from the pouch, the 2 other petals of the flower can be easily spotted, because they look like wings with wavy edges, located to the left and right of the pouch. As for the sepals, unlike most other orchids, Paphiopedilum has a dorsal sepal at the top of the flower that looks like the traditional ceremonial mitra. The 2 other sepals are fused together behind the pouch. The reproductive parts of Paphiopedilum flowers start with a structure called the column, an extension of the ovary and stem. On both sides of the column we can see the 2 active anthers, and at the end is an infertile anther, the staminode, which serves to protect the stigma behind it. The whole setup is a perfect trap to lure unknowing insects searching for nectar into pollinating the flowers. The insects are attracted by the way the flowers promise nectar. In searching for nectar, the insects eventually fall into the pouch. Inside the pouch, the walls are slippery, and once the insect is inside, it's impossible to fly out because of a liquid base that drenches them. There's only one way out. They need to climb a ladder of hairs that lead all the way up to behind the staminode, where it leads to 2 different exits with the 2 different anthers. Thus, in the process of escaping, they either collect or deposit pollen. You could say that's how the smart flower fooled the innocent insect. Pretty clever. Orchids have been in the evolutionary game for so long, most species have evolved to specialize in attracting certain pollinators. They have a wide variety of shapes, sizes, colors, and even smells. All this to adapt perfectly to their environment, ensuring their continued survival. However, it seems there is a new pollinator in the game. These new players are more interested in their beauty rather than their nectar. Humans. Look at these beautiful hybrids, the results of selected cultivation. They've been chosen by us because of their size, colors, and shapes. A long time ago it was different. Enter 19th century England. At that time, little was known about how to care for them, much less how to breed them. If you wanted an orchid, it had to be brought straight from the wild. Orchids were hunted down all over the world. This madness about orchids drove many wild species to the brink of extinction. Today, the collecting of orchids in the wild is now banned by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, adopted in 1973. Unfortunately, there are still many orchids that are endangered. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and bye!